Hello, welcome to Letting It Go, your safe place for learning and talking about your emotions. I'm Mary Jo Van Horn, excited to be sharing time with you today, and we're going to be talking about bullying. Such a big topic, isn't it? And emotional. Now, I will be taking calls today, but a bit later in the show. At first, I want to share what I've learned as it relates to the emotional aspect of bullying, right? Trying to fix the bullying issue from a place of believing bullying is bad energetically closes the door to a positive solution, right? Everything is energy. And when we understand that bullying and feeling bullied both come from wanting to feel better, we energetically open the door to a positive solution. And that's what we ultimately want, right? We want a solution. And that's what I'm going to share with you during the first part of today's show. My solution. So I invite you to listen in with an open mind and an open heart. And then I'll be opening it up for callers a bit later in the show. Now, when most people experience bullying, the emotions run high, right? Whether you're the child, the parent, the school official, the counselor, whether your kid is the bully or the one feeling bullied, everyone tends to feel emotionally triggered. Most often, those dominant emotions that are felt are, a feeling of upset, short-tempered, right? Tempers tend to flare, agitation, and it just feels like there's such a tenseness to the air. And when we stay stuck in these emotions, we become like a magnet for more of the same. Right? You can just say the word bully, and for a lot of people, they just go, right to something negative, right? What do you think of? What emotion comes up for you right away when you just think about the bullying issue? And like attracts like, resulting in feeling like there's no real solution. So when we're all focused, that bullying is bad, and then we've got anger, and we've got agitation and frustration, right? It is really just being like this big magnet for more of the same and blocking a solution from even showing up for us. And in the same way, those that bully and those that feel bullied are a match for each other. They are an energetic match for each other. Here's what I mean. For kids, when something happens that doesn't feel good emotionally, their brains are not fully developed, so they don't have the capacity to understand what's really going on. They just know that their safety, their emotional safety, feels threatened, and it doesn't feel good. Now, it can come from a one-time instance or ongoing circumstances, things like if there's fighting in the home or yelling in the home, if they felt consistently ignored, perhaps they've experienced physical abuse, sexual abuse, not having enough food in the home. There's nothing more important to a child than that they feel emotionally safe. And part of feeling safe is that things need to make sense for them. And when they experience circumstances, that don't make sense, kids will make up stuff about themselves in order to make sense of things so they can feel emotionally safe. What they make up about themselves is what I call their limiting beliefs. Untrue thoughts of not enough. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever enough. Now, a couple weeks ago on this show, I talked in depth about limiting beliefs. And you can learn more about my take on limiting beliefs by listening to the replay of that show. It aired on January 22nd of this year, 2019. You can find that replay on my website, maryjovanhorn.com/radio. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and it'll be right there. This limiting beliefs work is so important because of the easy access kids have to social media, for one reason, right? Cyberbullying is an aggressive and constant reminder to those feeling bullied that they're not enough. And those limiting beliefs that they've created for themselves get validated over and over and over and over. And the social media platforms and the digital era that we live in, it makes it really easy for our kids to see that over and over and over. You know, and it's not just bullying. It's also the billion-dollar makeup, fashion, and fitness industries, you know, sending our kids and adults alike messages about what? Not being pretty enough. Not being fashionable enough, not being fit enough. And our limiting beliefs just get hammered, right? Over and over and over that we're not enough. Now, here's the thing. Limiting beliefs are not true. And when kids create limiting beliefs for themselves, their actions those start lining up with them. Even though their limiting beliefs are almost always subconscious, right? That I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not pretty enough, right? Their actions are going to line up with what they believe to be true for them, whether they are aware of those beliefs or not. So for example, a kid that hears, well, how dumb can you be? Right? To not know that, to not figure that out. Or to constantly, hear, it's not that hard. What are you, stupid? Words like that can easily have them creating the limiting belief that they're not smart enough. And it may be subconscious, but that belief gets created. And then they choose or they learn ways to compensate. And that can be different. So one kid might, if he's carrying the limiting belief that he's not smart enough, he might go out there and go for straight A's as a way to compensate for that. Another kid might think, well, what's the point? And she might just give up altogether and not even try. So other different ways kids, learn to compensate based on their experiences that don't feel good are by being a people pleaser, figuring out everything out for themselves, never asking for help, maybe retreating to their bedroom just to get out of the way or spend as much time as possible out of the house. And some compensate by being a bully, getting others before they have a chance to get them. Kids learn to compensate in order to feel safe. And their ways of compensating become their protector in a way. Now, kids who bully most likely experience situations in which they feel angry, betrayed. Life probably feels very chaotic for them. And they most likely feel powerless. So they compensate by exerting control over others. It's their way of subconsciously feeling safe and protected. Kids who feel bullied right? The victim, so to speak, of those who bully, they most likely experience situations in which they feel sad, victimized, unwelcomed, unhappy, perhaps manipulated. And they often compensate by crying, internalizing their feelings, or by having emotional outbursts because they just got to get it out of their system. And this is their way of feeling safe and protected. Now, these are sensitive kids, right? I was a sensitive kid, so, and I'm still sensitive today as an adult. And kids who feel bullied tend to believe that they deserve to feel sad, that they are not welcome, that they are meant to be a victim, and that they deserve to be manipulated. Now, the one that bullies believes, and again, this may be subconscious, it probably is, believes the world is an angry place, that they deserve to be betrayed, that home life is supposed to be chaotic, and they feel like they have no control over what's happening around them. What I believe is missing from most well-intentioned parents, school officials, and even the law enforcement as it relates to the bullying issue is that work around our limiting beliefs. Because when we carry limiting beliefs, when our kids carry limiting beliefs, the family doesn't feel safe. They do not feel emotionally safe. And when we as parents understand this body of work and we do our work around our limiting beliefs and help our kids to do the same, then the family becomes a safe place for your kids to land. Remember, there's nothing more important to a child than that they feel emotionally safe. And when they don't, number one, you know that they are carrying limiting beliefs. And their actions are going to line up with that belief, whether they are aware of it or not. So if we truly want to resolve and prevent bullying, we must help our kids to become aware of what they're telling themselves about themselves and what they're telling themselves about the world. When you become aware of your limiting beliefs and you release them, your entire being changes. Because you now have room for thoughts that are true, right? That you are deserving of all abundance. And by that I mean your full sense of self-worth, self-respect, and self-love. When you fill yourself up with thoughts and emotions that support feeling worthy, respecting yourself and others, thoughts that are loving about yourself and others, you become a magnet of more of the same, right? Everything goes back to like attracts like, and it is all about our emotions. What we attract, what we draw towards us comes from our emotions. So our emotions are everything. How would your kids' lives change if they genuinely felt their full sense of self-worth? What do you imagine for them? with the situations that currently feel like a struggle for them or a challenge, when they know their sense of self-worth and they respect themselves and they love themselves, they're able to see the situation for what it is, not from the lens of I'm not enough. And they naturally want to help others. They naturally respect others. They're naturally kind and considerate, compassionate. What would that look like for your kids if that's what they were filled up with inside? And it starts with us adults. Here's the thing, even the most well-intended parents, and I know you love your kids, and you are trying to provide the absolute best life for them. But even parents like you can sometimes end up with a kid that bullies or that feels bullied. And you're not alone. And it's not your fault. And I want to take the fault and the blame and the guilt and the shame and the anger and the tension and the agitation and the victimization off the table, right, when we're looking for a solution, because that doesn't serve you, right? And that just attracts more of the same. So when it comes to a true solution, we need to take the fault, faulting ourselves, faulting others off the table. There really isn't a precedent that I'm aware of that's been set for how to parent as it relates to bullying, especially in our current digital era. The world is changing so fast, and our kids have instant access to all that's wrong in the world, right? They're seeing, whether it's on the news, on the TV, or it's on one of many devices over the internet, they are seeing others fight. They're seeing others criticize each other and try to destroy each other. What I believe is missing is our connection to our limiting beliefs. Adults and children both, right? We create them during childhood and then carry them with us until or unless we decide to become aware of them and then release them. Many adults live their entire lives without ever becoming aware of them or becoming aware that they are even carrying them. As parents, we cannot continue to parent from do as I say, not as I do. Okay, it's just not going to work. You've got to model the behavior that you want to see in your kids. You've got to model those emotions. And you can't fake your emotions. You can try, but I can promise you, you cannot fake them, especially around kids. And if you're telling your kids to do one thing, but you are doing the opposite or something different, right? They are smart. They pick up on that. They see that, and then it becomes, right, your words don't matter. Because they will almost always do what you do, not what you say. So in order to model self-respect to your kids, you've got to feel it for yourself. In order to model a sense of self-worth, you have to know it for yourself. Because otherwise it just becomes lip service, right? You hear, I shared this story, that was maybe last week, right? My daughter was complaining when she was 10, 11, 12 years old about how she looked. And all I could say was, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. And I just couldn't understand how she couldn't see it. But then she had grown up, watching me and hearing me criticize my looks and not go somewhere because of how I looked. Right. And so then my actions led her to believe that, hey, you're a mom. That's what moms say. You just have to, that's just what you say when you're a mom. Right. But they don't believe it. So your actions have to match what you want them to believe for themselves. And to help you get started, I've got a low-cost audio program that is a great place to start. The first audio guides you to clarity on your limiting beliefs. And the second audio is a powerful meditation for releasing them. Right? It's on sale right now for $27. And you can learn more and purchase right on my website, maryjovanhorn.com/services. Okay. I appreciate you listening for that teachable moment. Hopefully you found it insightful, intriguing, interesting. Let's open it up now for callers. 751-0838. It's a local Bismarck, North Dakota number. If you need the area code, it is area code 701. Call in. Let us know, what have you experienced around bullying? What questions do you have? How might I support and guide you? What would you like to see different, whether it's in your schools or within our anti-bullying laws? It was interesting for me to realize that the only anti-bullying law for the state of North Dakota currently is one that is just specific for our public schools. So I guess people who aren't attending public schools, I'm not sure. I'd love to hear, where do you go for help? What have you found helpful? What do you want to share today around the bullying topic? One of the things I think I'd love to see more of is empathy, right? Empathy. It is not only understanding someone else's feelings, but also putting yourself in their shoes, so to speak. I think it's often, I guess what happens is when there is a bullying issue, the bully, right, gets blamed and people want the bully punished. And there's a lot of anger and perhaps even hatred, frustration, resentment, towards that bully. And what I'd like you to do is just imagine that bully as a little boy experiencing situations and circumstances that feel like he has no control over what's happening. Right? Where he feels very betrayed. Where she is angry and doesn't know what to do with that. I think the solution to truly resolving a bullying issue is to have empathy for the bully and to help him or her understand her limiting beliefs or their limiting beliefs. Because you can separate, right? And I think that's what a lot of the schools do. they do a good job, I believe, of making sure the bully has as little or no contact with the one feeling bullied as possible. And I think that's, it is, I see the appeal in that, and I can see how that can help. But I also believe that that's a Band-Aid approach, right? Because even though that child who is the one feeling bullied, even though you take the bully out of the picture, they maybe don't have that constant message of not being enough, but they still carry it. If they're not aware of it, they're still carrying it. And so it may just lie dormant for a while, but then the next time a situation comes up and that child is emotionally triggered, right? Those limiting beliefs are going to pop up and run the show from a place of love, right? Because as a kid, we create those as a way to feel more protected and to feel more safe. But it will show up later on in life. Oftentimes when people are bullied as kids, they find that same situation happening when they get older. Or they compensate by becoming a bully or more bully-like. And then that serves no one. This is a really big topic, and I think a really serious topic. I'd love to have some callers call in and have the conversation. We can't come up with a solution in a vacuum. And this is a safe place. So there's no criticism, there's no judgment. And the sooner we can let that go, right? So the sooner we can let go of the blame and the fault, the sooner we can open the doors to a real solution. It doesn't mean there aren't consequences, because there are always consequences to your actions. But I think the real work is around helping our kids understand those beliefs that are subconscious and help them bring them into their consciousness so they can see that they are not true and they can release them. It'll change their lives as a child. It will absolutely change their lives as an adult. When you create family as a safe place for your kids to land, they'll do the same when they become parents. And it's the same for bullying in the workplace, right? So we're not talking about kids, but when bullying takes place in the workplace, it's still the same. The bully, is acting from a place of believing or from a place of lining up with his limiting or her limiting beliefs. And the one that feels bullied, her actions and reactions, his actions or his reactions are lining up with their limiting beliefs. And really, do you see how they become a match for each other? Because it's really like, because how, a bully, it's no accident. If your child is feeling bullied, it's no accident that it is them. Because a bully will try and will try to match up with somebody. But if they don't get that reaction, then, they move on. It's literally not a match for them. But it does become a match, right, for people, for kids who feel and who are carrying those limiting beliefs that they are meant to be a victim, that life is supposed to feel sad, and that they don't feel welcome. And parents, I keep bringing it back to you, and I do this, from a place of respect and kindness, and I know it's not your intentions for your child to feel that way, but I also know the reality is that they do. Right? If they are feeling bullied, they are absolutely carrying some untrue beliefs about themselves. And they look to you, right, for how to respond, how to react. And so how are you handling it? Because that's exactly what you're teaching your kids. And I totally believe that we are all doing the best we can with what we know. And when we do better, or when we know better, we do better. And this is an opportunity to know better, so you can do better. Take a look in, right? It's not just a school issue. Yes, bullying can take place at schools, and yes, people, match up. The bully and the one feeling bullied, yes, they can very often match up while at school. But it is not just a school issue. Imagine if, let's just take the school where your kids attend, or one of them. And imagine if every teacher in that school knew that they were aware of their limiting beliefs, because they're carrying them. If teachers are stressed out, they are carrying limiting beliefs. If you're stressed out at work, you are carrying limiting beliefs. And imagine if every teacher in your child's school, they were aware of their limiting beliefs and how to release them. And that is a daily practice for them. And that the parents, what if the parents, all of the parents from a school, from the school that your child attends, what if all of the parents were aware of their limiting beliefs and how to release them? Now, we're always going to be emotionally triggered because we're only human. But it's when we stay emotionally triggered is where the conflict comes in, is where there is no solution, right? Because then it becomes, we become stuck in the anger, in the frustration, in the, it's also unfair. And then somebody has to pay for this. Somebody has to be blamed. Somebody has to be punished for this. And we get stuck in that, right? That's very negative energy. And it has to start somewhere, people. It has to start somewhere, and it might as well start with you, or perhaps your school. If you're in a workplace and there is bullying in the workplace, let it start with you. If you're the one feeling bullied, or if your people are telling you you're a bully, instead of defending and feeling defensive and argumentative, ask this question. What's the lesson I'm meant to learn here? One thing I've learned is that when someone completely disagrees with me, gets upset with something that I say, and it does happen, especially as I've been doing this, the work that I'm now doing, I get people saying, Mary Jo, you just frustrate the crap right out of me. I don't understand you. I don't get what you're saying. I don't think that applies to me. Doesn't make sense to me. And I celebrate that. Because when you have that kind of a connection with someone, it actually means that you're deeply connected and that there's a reason, right? And it means that whether, if you're the one upset about what somebody else says or does, there's a lesson for you to learn. And that is your sign that you are ready to learn a lesson. You are ready to change. You're ready to do things differently. You're ready to move forward. It doesn't have to be that way. We can learn about our emotions. We can talk about our emotions. We can learn how to release those emotions when we feel emotionally triggered. So what do you think about what I've shared here today? Whether you agree, disagree, whether you think I'm crazy, whether you think it'll never ever work, whether you think you don't know where to begin, let me know. Call in, let's have a conversation. I find it intriguing that when someone posts on social media about a bullying incident, hundreds of people respond, right? Typically, most often, about how wrong that is, how bad that is, how hurtful that is, how the bully or the bullies need to pay for that. And yet, when we're looking for a solution, I'm hearing crickets. Does anybody have something to say? 751-0838, area code 701. Okay. If you like what you're hearing from me and are feeling like, gosh, I'd like to say something, I just don't have the nerve to talk on the radio, what will people think? I'm just nervous to do it. Right there is a sign that you're carrying limiting beliefs around that. And I get it. I understand that. But I'm not going to stop talking about it. I believe in this work with all my heart, with all my soul. And I do believe it is what our kids need. It is what us adults need. It is what is going to create a safe family. And, I really want you to think about what your kids, your nieces and nephews, your neighbor kids, what they go through nowadays. How many of them are in blended families? How many of them are going back and forth from houses, right? Different homes. How many of them have parents and step-parents that aren't getting along? What are they telling themselves about themselves as to why that's happening? Because I can promise you, they are somehow making it their fault. And I know that's not your intention. But I also know that you can change it. It starts with you. It starts with us parents. It starts with us adults. Put yourself in your child's shoes and just think about what they go through in a day. What are the things they're hearing? If they don't want to talk about their feelings, that's the work that needs to be done. Because when they just hold it in, it's got to go somewhere. And if it doesn't, it eats them alive. If you don't know how to talk about your emotions, join the club. You're certainly not alone there. Most of us didn't learn that growing up. But that's no excuse. If you don't like what I'm offering, or that doesn't seem to be a fit for you, I get that. That's okay. My work is not meant for everybody. But seek out some support and guidance around this. Maybe talking with your kids about their emotions is as simple as, if they're young, and boy, start this young, because we start creating limiting beliefs sometimes, from a very young age, certainly, 2, 3, 4 years old. It's very, very possible that kids are creating limiting beliefs as young as that. And so depending on their age, get emotion flashcards or emotion boards and just have them point to the emotion, right? Use something like that. But here's the thing, parents, you also have to be willing to talk about your emotions, right? Because you cannot ask your child to open up and share when you yourself refuse to do so. Again, when what we model for our kids is what they are picking up on, is what they are tuning into, is what they are learning. And our words are not enough. And the most important question you can ask your child, no matter their age, is when they're struggling with a situation or they've had a bad day, ask them, what are you telling yourself about yourself as it relates, to that particular issue? And help them to feel safe. Talk about a time when you were a kid and things didn't feel good for you emotionally. They don't want perfect parents, right? They want parents that help them feel emotionally safe. And the best way to do that is for you to be open. Age appropriate, of course. Right? Take off any guilt and shame around what you've done, haven't done, what you wish you had done different as a parent. Take that off the table. Show yourself some love and just know that this is a new start. This exact moment can be a whole new start for you. And go from there. You cannot teach your child about self-love if you yourself do not have it. You cannot teach your child about self-respect if you yourself don't have it. Same with self-worth. We cannot leave it up to the schools to teach our kids self-worth. They can be a huge influence and an important one. But what they experience at home, what they experience with family, right? That is most important. And when you can create family for your kids as a safe place for them to land, that's golden. And it doesn't mean the home, right? It means their sense of family. And it starts with you, parents. And I know you can do this. I know you can do it for yourself. I hear it over and over from parents saying, I just want my child, right, to know that she's beautiful just the way she is. I don't want my son to have body issues like I had. I don't want, my daughter turning to food like I did. I don't want this for my son or my daughter. And the greatest gift you can do or you can give them is for you to learn it yourself. Because if they are, compensating by turning to food, it's what I did, right? As a way to feel better, right? They are carrying limiting beliefs. If they are just staying out, staying away from home, ask yourself, what is the lesson I meant to learn here? Why doesn't my child want to be home? What's really going on? And put any sense of, feeling judged or trying to defend yourself, take that off the table and start fresh. It might be a very welcome change. Okay, so no callers. Tell you what, I am going to wrap it up just a few minutes early today, and I invite you to just reflect on what I've shared here today. I would love to have you call in next week. We can talk about it some more. Because people, I'm not going away. This is the work that needs to be done. This is what is going to help our kids. And it absolutely is the solution to truly resolving and preventing bullying. I don't have the how figured out, but I am open. Whether it becomes a school collaboration, like I'm open to ideas. I'm staying open to suggestions. And I welcome each and every one of them. What can we do as parents, as schools, right? As communities, to put in as much effort to finding a solution and creating a solution as we do in complaining about it, in venting about it, in blaming each other. Let's flip that around and create a match for a solution. How does that sound? If you liked what you heard today and want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Mary Jo Van Horn. I'm the only Mary Jo Van Horn, I believe, on Facebook. So it'll be a fast, easy search. And connect. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, go to linkedin.com/IN/Mary Jo Van Horn. If you're experiencing bullying in the workplace and you want to create a solution for that, find a solution for that for your organization, reach out to me. Perhaps there are, I could facilitate a workshop, speak to your organization or your event. Let's work together and find a solution. Let's create a solution that is for the good of all involved. You can also email me through my website. My website is maryjovanhorn.com. My direct phone number is area code 701-552-7722. And we just need to get started. This is a conversation that we need to have, and we need to look in the mirror. We need to, with love, let me put it that way. Let's all look in the mirror tonight at ourselves with love, with respect, and ask, what can I do to contribute to the solution? And even if you're not sure what that looks like or what that may be, let's at least stay open to it. Let's connect. Let's figure something out together. Our kids deserve it. And you as parents deserve it. Okay, as our time together comes to an end, I'm leaving you with what I know to be true for you. You are deserving of abundance just because you were born. This is true for you. This is true for your kids. It is true for everyone. And abundance is an abundant amount of support, abundant laughter, abundant love, abundant joy. And so it is.
Letting It Go airs every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time on urlradio.net.